Hi, my name's Kyle Poorman, and I'm with the Iowa Grain Quality Initiative. And I'm actually here with the professor in charge of the Iowa Grain Quality Initiative, um, Charlie Hurburgh, and we're talking stored 2019 corn. Charlie, why are we talking about corn on August 4th? Why are we talking about 2019 corn right now?
Well, actually, ironically, the saga of 2019 corn actually started a year ago in the spring when we had the latest planting season that has ever been in USDA records, which then backed the crop up and made it higher moisture and less mature than normal by the time we got around to the fall of 2019, wetter crop. And we had, in many places in Iowa, we had distribution problems with the propane. So the net effect was we stored a lot of 2019 corn at much higher moisture than we would normally want to do, and without drying, and which then had the effect of using up the storage time, using up the shelf life, and at some point you got to pay the piper. And right now, the lost storage of shelf life has caught up. A lot of the 2019 corn's been used, of course, but that hasn't, it's caught up. We were delivering 17-18% corn in June, and that's just not going to store much longer. In fact, probably isn't storing any longer. And so as a result, there is problems, and it's certainly not something we want to keep again into the fall, for sure.
So you're saying problems. Are you hearing from people that about
Yes.
problems upon
Yes.
delivery?
Yes, primarily, the people you primarily hear from, or I do, are processors rather than they're actually users of the corn, because the lack of shelf life and therefore higher levels of mold, maybe a little bit of heating going on. That's the negative factor for ethanol processing. It's a negative factor for corn wet milling like Eddyville or Cedar Rapids. And so they have to then take care to not take in corn with too high levels of damage or that is actively heating at the time. That has a negative effect on the process by quite a bit.
Mm. So as we're getting on towards harvest here in just a little bit, what do you say to people, who maybe still have 2019 corn around, right? So we're anticipating some big amounts in storage of 2020 corn, but what about 2019?
Well, if it's on farm, I'd move it right away. I wouldn't try to keep it longer. I understand that that's an unpopular thought right now. There's a 2 in front of the price of corn, so that's not a popular idea. And you may want to think about some alternative strategies for separating the physical handling decision and the marketing decision. I know if you listen to Chad or Steve Johnson, they're preaching a number of strategies that could still have continued ownership of the grain without necessarily holding on to the physical product. It's the physical product that we're worried about right now, not the marketing strategy. So I tell people it's time to move it, and it's time to either move it and use it right away or at an elevator. I've had a lot of conversations with elevator folks. The natural tendency, of course, is to want to keep something that's a little bit off grade, maybe try to hold it until the new crop comes for blending purposes and so on. That will be risky this year. We've had enough hot weather that'll be risky to try to make it into the new crop marketing here. Looks like there's some areas of the state that may be cutting new crop corn much sooner than we thought, given the dry weather, given that dry weather triangle in southwest and west central Iowa. But normally we'd think that harvest would start late September, mid-late
Yep.
September would be, and that's a long time for this corn that has already used its shelf life up and is heating a little bit or whatever. That's a long time to wait. I would be more prone to try to market it as quickly as possible.
Okay, so the takeaway is 2019 corn. It's time to get rid of it.
Time to get rid of it, and not to put it in, for certain, not to put it in storage where
Okay.
it might get, well, it's not a storage well anyway, where it might get mixed with new crop, because just the mixing of two crop years usually creates problems, and this year it'll create more problems, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, thank you, Charlie. I think this has been a short talk on 2019 corn, but the reason being the weird weather we had last year, and the issues we're seeing this year. So thanks a lot.
You bet. We'll see you again the next time.
Yep.